My interest in the environment started in my early years traveling across the country with my parents. That sort of evolved into a love of nature and liking to be outdoors a lot, into wanting to be in a position where I could affect some sort of environmental policy, moving from enjoying it to figuring out a way to participate in the preservation of it.
Growing up, my family was very involved with outdoor activities. We sailed and we camped. So I think from early on I had a strong love for the environment, and I have a really strong environmental ethic that's a part of my life on an everyday basis.
My interest in recycling probably started when I was a little kid, because my dad was, I think, one of the original people who went through trash cans to dig out aluminum cans.
Actually, the way I got involved in environmental advocacy was by being invited to Bhopal, India, where the Union Carbide leak killed about 10,000 people. At that time, I was a law professor. I came home, resigned my tenure at the law school, started an environmental law practice because I felt that it was time to do something hands-on.
Well, I was a student at UCSB and the oil spill occurred in Santa Barbara. And that plus experience I had later working in the U.S. Forest Service really got me interested in the whole environmental area and made me want to devote much of my life to trying to improve things.
Surfers definitely have an interest in keeping the environment clean. We're kind of at the bottom of the food chain, so to speak. Everything that goes up into the air or onto the land winds up out in the ocean with us, and surfers generally are the first to experience the effects of pollution. We see it every day. There's a storm and we get run off into the ocean. Increased coliform counts, oil floating out in the water. We definitely have a vested interest in cleaning up the environment.
Used motor oil is a real serious pollutant. It is a carcinogen when it comes out of the internal combustion engine, and very, very hazardous. It's actually a hazardous waste.
Some of the real negative things that happen when used oil is disposed of is the impurities that are in the oil get into the environment. And we have been testing the oil now for 10 years. And we've got a lot of data on what's in used oil, probably more than just about anybody in the country. The metals they're the wear components in the cars, lead, chromium, zinc, cadmium, they're all in the oil. And these all contribute to polluting water.
It does contaminate groundwater and the environment. It basically kills things. I mean, people used to take used motor oil when they changed their car and spray it on their driveways to kill weeds. And in some areas of the state, I think that's still done. Farmers will use it to spray down, and it will basically suffocate the vegetation. So it kills vegetation. It can harm people and make people sick if it ends up in your groundwater. And by people putting it in storm drains, it ends up in the ocean.
We've heard stories of people taking their used motor oil and pouring it in their backyard for weed control, or pouring it down the storm drain, which drains directly into the ocean without any treatment at all. Given those improper disposal methods and Santa Barbara County's coastal and groundwater resources, we don't think that's a very good fit.
1 gallon can contaminate up to 1 million gallons of water.
I was in line at the Earl Warren Showgrounds a while ago for an annual hazardous waste collection day. And I was in line with my used oil dutifully packed away in the back of my truck and was waiting like everybody else. And this guy pulls up to me in this car and rolls down his window and he says, "Hey, what's the long line for? You guys, they giving something away?" And I said, "No, I'm here to get rid of my used oil." And he says, "Get rid of it, just throw it in the trash can." Floors it and takes off.
We started providing twice annual hazardous waste collection days for the Santa Barbara community back in 1984. They were a wonderful way to educate the people about how to properly manage their household hazardous waste. Waste motor oil has always been the largest volume material that we collect, both at the hazardous waste collection days and here at the Hazardous Waste Collection Center. Back at the collection days, we would receive between 2,000 to 3,000 gallons of motor oil every collection day. Here at the facility, where people have an opportunity to get rid of their hazardous waste on a weekly basis, we've collected over 4,000 gallons of waste motor oil in the last year.